Hello there and welcome to Il Salotto Sessions. I am Sara Seravalli, an Italian event organizer with a profound enthusiasm for design and architecture, bringing over 15 years of experience from my work across showrooms in Milan, Paris and London. Fueled by a passion for connecting people in the design world, I founded Design Pop-Up in 2014, a specification-focused event that has since traveled throughout the UK and Ireland. Today I'm expanding my vision with Il Salotto, a vibrant space, both physical and virtual, dedicated to inspiring meaningful conversations and fostering connections within the design community. I hope you will enjoy my chats. Hello there and welcome to this new episode of Il Salotto Session, first episode of 2025, and we are going a bit off piste today. We are not talking about architecture and design. However, we are staying within the built environment a little bit, but I have a feeling I'm going to digress quite a lot with this guest today. So with us is Tiernan Dixon, master storyteller and founder at Superbeam. Hello, Tiernan.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. Freezing. It's 1 degree in London this morning. It's a cold January 14th morning, so I'm shivering wearing my jacket in the studio. But yeah, I'm good.
Well, just get somebody to get you a cup of tea and you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, one of the most multi-dimensional characters I've come across. The whole idea started when our common friend Sam Frith gave me a call last December. I say, Sarah, I think I've got a person that I really think you should interview for Il Salotto Session because you've got a lot of interesting things to say. I said, okay, Sam, yes, who is this guy? So I start talking to him about Tiernan, blah, blah, we've done this, we've done that. But, okay, yeah, please, could you send me an intro? So he sent the intro, I replied, it was pre-Christmas, so you were a bit too busy, so you go back to me about 2-3 days. But I remember receiving one of the most polite and kind email I've ever seen. Between you and Arinder Sagu and Foster Partners is a very good fight. It was the kindest email I've ever received. And you used a word that for some reason got stuck in my head, which was relish, right? I don't think anybody's ever relished any opportunity I've thrown at them.
Yeah.
So with that word, relish, you got me hooked. I said, okay, I need to see. I'm intrigued now. I want to see who this guy is. So I start doing my research. I'm a bit of a Google detective, right? So start with your website and LinkedIn, watch the video. I had watched the video you've done with Sam about Spolia when they launched Spolia, and always thought it was incredibly powerful and very poetic. Yeah. So start looking more in what you do, Superbeam, blah, blah. I landed on your LinkedIn page, then scroll down to education. You've done high school in London, but then university in Cardiff. However, according to Companies House, you're actually Irish.
Is that what it says? But my parents are Irish. I've only got an Irish passport, but I mean, I was born in Hammersmith Hospital. I grew up in Ealing Broadway. I've lived in London my whole life. So I consider myself
English, Welsh, or Irish.
I don't know. It's interesting. I really don't see myself as being English. I see myself as being a Londoner. I'm very proud to be from London, from this city. I mean, I grew up in West London. My mum still has a pub in St. Paul's, and I used to spend a lot of time after school and during the week and going into the city, and then kind of different parts of the family living all over the city. And I love being from London. I see a lot of identity within that. And then I see like beauty and Irish heritage in my parents. I kind of was grown up being told I was Irish, and there was pictures of Michael Collins on the fridge, and that was a big part of my identity. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not stuck to any of those things. But according to Companies House and HMRC, I'm Irish, but they definitely don't let me pay Irish tax rates anyway. That's for sure.
So have you got an Irish passport? Because after Brexit, it makes a massive difference if you
I do. I only have an Irish passport. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So you're officially Irish then, and / Londoner.
Yeah.
So then I landed, as if that wasn't enough, I then landed on your Instagram account to find out that for fun, you've wrestled people to the ground.
It's fun.
It's fun. Now, we go to that later on because it's very interesting, this grappling thing. I never heard of the sport before. However, I think in Italy it's called Lotta Greco-Romana, maybe?
Yeah, that's like a style of it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do work first, and then we can do fun bits.
Yeah.
Superbeam, storytelling. So I have a similar degree than yours. Yours is marketing, communication, and advertising, which is very similar to what I studied in Milan. However, I did study a few years before you, but we're not going to go into that. So I remember back then at the uni, you were taught about USP, unique selling proposition, brand values, all the jazz. And then a few years ago, that came the Simon, what's his name, about the why. And all of a sudden, you need to find the why. Yeah, you need to find the why in your company. Now you come here and you tell us that that's not enough. We need to find a story to tell.
100%.
Why is that?
I think it's not just like a story to tell. It's you need different stories for different stakeholders and different times. And like what's really a transitory world is the brands that do well are the brands who identify who they are and what their human USP is and stick to it. Everything in this world is stories. Humans communicate through story. We understand the world through the lens of story. Advertising communications and brand communications is obviously no exception to the rule. Nothing's an exception to the rule. But yeah, now more than ever, it's super, super important for, I'll talk about this in the context of B2C. I mean, most of this stuff is applicable and has been applicable academically and, do you know what I mean, in practice, but for decades now for consumer brands. But yeah, especially within B2B, you know, having a human story to tell is vital. You know, humans buy from humans and humans understand stories through the lens of human evolution. And the brands that get that and they can communicate value, service, offering in a wider picture will do way better. And yeah, it's been the case the whole time.
So why choosing the videos as a what do you call it? As a way to tell your story? Why a video rather than, I don't know, a book or photographs or?
I mean, like the completely honest answer is that it's not better, you know, it's different and it has higher rates of efficacy in saying more in a short period of time, which I think is important when we're thinking about attention spans. That I'm sure that some of the campaigns we've done, if we could have written a Tolstoy-esque 700-page, you know what I mean, novel, we probably could have got more emotional investment out of the audience, but we don't have the resources nor the time nor the budget to do that stuff. And there's also asking too much of your audience. So I think video is by far the most effective for contemporary B2B advertising communications in terms of like medium, because it lets us do more in 30 to 120 seconds that any other medium can. It helps us tell a story. It helps us transcend time and space. It helps us use visual, auditory tools. It helps us use emotion. And it's also just like the way people communicate today. The internet is video, you know. Social media is video. It's the stuff that performs well. And the brands that are starting to utilize it now, it's also not weird anymore. It used to be a bit weird even like a decade ago for B2B brands to be putting out, you know, hiring talent and using narrative. It was kind of a bit abstracted from what they were used to. It's kind of what happened in like 2001 was when the world went online and the big SaaS boom. People started selling, B2B brands started selling on the internet, and they would use 10% better here, 10% this, and they kind of commoditized everything, and they kind of forgot that they were selling to humans. And as we've used social media has grown in the last decade, people have realized again, oh, we're communicating with humans, not robots. And video has become a really useful tool for doing that. But yeah, to answer the question, I wouldn't say it's the best, but in terms of
is effective,
it's the most effective in terms of like contemporary advertising and contemporary B2B communications. It can do the most. But look, that is speaking on behalf of talking to the majority of audience. There are still a percentage of people who would prefer to read a 60-page white paper to understand a new piece of software or a new potential vendor when they're looking to make a purchasing decision. That's not what we do. Definitely not.
So I mentioned before, my sister, she's a video designer down in Italy, right? And she, in my opinion, she's very, very good. So I had a video done about my events post-COVID, so 3 years ago. And from a young chap here in Glasgow, you know, I say, I'm happy to support the locals. Let's see what we can do. So then I sent the final video to my sister. She wasn't very complimentary. This is a bit basic. Right,
Oh,
okay, so as a test, I sent your stuff down to her, and you got 9 out of 10. So congratulations.
oh my God, is that it? What was the one? What did we do wrong?
The music, but then I'm not gonna tell James about it.
That's that's very
Yeah,
kind. Yeah,
yeah.
that's nice.
So anyway, you get almost 10 out of 10 from my sister,
Yeah,
which is in my world is spot on.
yeah, happy days.
Um, and I kind of lost my train of thoughts now. Oh yes, we were talking about, as you say, giving the video is more effective. Also, it kind of gives access to a broader audience of people.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you have ever visited those in art shows where you're basically immersed into the art exhibition. I've taken my wee one to see the Van Gogh exhibition that was in Glasgow last
Oh
year.
yeah,
And again, my sister that does that for a living, she said, "Oh, that's horrendous." But to take that, my daughter and introduce a 5-year-old to the art of Van Gogh was quite special. Videos making more democratize the content, if you know what I mean.
yeah, 100%. I think there's something really poignant there as well. Like I'm not mad about the video exhibition stuff like the Van Gogh. I've seen it; it looks quite cool. I saw a really nice one at the Turner Prize nominee. There was like at the Tate Britain last weekend. There was like a walk in this young woman. She was like a Romanian gypsy, and she grew up in the UK. And it was like she curated this room to be like the inside of her brain, and there was like a bit of AV stuff in there. It was super super cool. But I think what they're doing there is that you're just creating a larger sensory experience. I mean, so much of what we do now is like metaphorically 2D, like doom scrolling reels and looking at videos on the internet. And I think there's a loss of meaningful connections. I think about like the best experiences I've had in my life, generally with other people at events, at festivals, whether it's like at training, there's like sight, smell, touch, feel. There's all this like wider sensory experience. And I think that more stimulus and input creates like a large emotional response in people. Like, have you ever walked past someone on the tube and they smell and they've reminded you of someone you used to know, and you get this feelings of emotions come back? I think that's what they're tapping into with that. They're just creating like a wider, more expansive sensory experience. And I think that is really important for, wedging yourself into people's memories and like creating a more resonant moment. Yeah. It's just more sensory input.
So why specializing in the built environment?
So I kind of grew up in the construction world. That loads of family and friends and people were in there, and it was always very familiar to me. I think growing up in West London, Irish, like you just inherently know a lot of builders. And in my summers, I'd always labor on site, and when I was at uni, I'd come back and I'd labor on sites, and I really liked it. I really just liked the people. It was very like inspirational, but kind of gritty and salt of the earth. And it was just like kind of idiosyncratic in a way. And they had all these really important problems they were trying to solve. And obviously I was studying advertising. And just for reference, I didn't actually get that degree. I dropped out 2 months before the end of in my fourth year. I dropped out, put a pin in it. So I can't actually claim that. But I went and I was working in agency and, doing stuff with construction people and built environment people, architects, developers, the full lot. And they just had like tangible commercial problems that you can use media as a solution to solve, whether it was winning more work or recruitment or social value. And there's just a space there where we could add value and return on investment to clients. So I was like, okay, let's just do this. And built a team of people who are also excited by the prospect of that. A lot of agencies can go in and you can work in like FMCG stuff or like B2B2C or like fashion or fintech, and you can kind of nudge the dial. But with the Superbeam, the mission was like as we can fucking change like the face of this entire industry in the years to come. Like if we can start small and we can like build a few brands that become outliers in their own right through their use of media, communication and positioning, then we can raise the bar that everyone else will have to lift up. And then that would change. And that was like a really enticing proposition, not just for me, but for the rest of the team. Like we can actually stick our boot in here and make a bit of a dent to a whole industry. So we set our goal, which is to win the creative B2B campaign award at Cannes Lions Advertising Festival for a UK built environment brand. And then that was like the benchmark. We said, lads, if we can do this, then we know we've got it. So we just stuck to our guns and we do it. And look, we work with a few consumer brands, we work with a few B2B guys on the side, like outside of the built environment. If they're nice people and they're fun and it's good creative, we can take it on. But, you know, our core solid focus will always be that built environment niche. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a mystery. I talk about this quite often. I actually even done the whole event last year about it. What drives me is the fact that architecture and design, well, architecture more than design, it's not just something beautiful to see. And as an Italian, I just love beautiful things. But also architecture can make such a difference to people. You know, a well-built house, a well-equipped office, it can actually improve people's lives. So that what actually I think is special about this industry. And as you say, there are so many other industries that are very interesting. I love food and, I would love to work with food. But then at the end of the day, apart from the pleasure, maybe you can be healthy, but it doesn't have the impact that architecture has got.
100%. It's meaningful. It's interesting that's the reason that you got into it, is to like directly affect people's lives. And I think you can do that in a big way with the world we inhabit. And I feel the same way about food. I've sat in meetings before where people have like waxed lyrical about a different type of radish, and I just almost start laughing. I just can't take food that seriously. I'm not one of these foodie guys. Like I'm not that much of a food snob. I like good food as much as the next person. But yeah, the built environment's so tangible and real, and it's not even just like place for people to live. It's like the infrastructure that we're building that we need to have a more sustainable world, you know, whether it's like nuclear or reuse or offshore. It's like, it's so important that we excite people about these things that are happening, and like, more importantly, attract and engage the next generation of talent to come in and help develop these things, which is super, super important. So there's definitely like a bigger social value picture about the work that we're doing and trying to do like net positive, 100%. Yeah.
So going back to your career, it's been only 10 years since you didn't get your university degree. Now you've been founder of Superbeam for almost 2 years and 9 months. So 10 years. So this for UK standards is quite standard. It's quite normal, right? For Italian standards, is like Usain Bolt running the 100 meters. You don't achieve as much as this in Italy in 20 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. So Superbeam is only 2 years and a half, and you're already making a huge difference. Why do you think is that?
Right place, right time, right team. We've found a niche that needed help, and we've been able to have success because we've been able to add value to clients, and the team have done that themselves. Like all I see myself as is just like a facilitator between talent and the client. And I'm not saying that's trying like to humble back. I really believe that like the team does everything. The guys have just been so like impassioned and motivated to bring that vision to life, and the clients have been so open-minded and willing to invest and let that facilitation take place. But it's just driven success. You know, we kept our heads down and worked really, really hard for those first couple of years, and we still do. And we grafted and we did projects we really didn't want to do just to get things over the line. But, you know, I've managed to get the guys to come and really, really, you know, commit to the bigger picture here, and the clients see that true too. And the clients have been like open-minded enough to, you know, to really let us like do our thing. And, you know, one thing's led to another, and, you know, people have introduced us and referred us, and we've grown and we've kind of stuck to our guns. But yeah, right place, right time. And I'm very proud of having like an insanely talented team who can deliver really good work for clients. And I'm also really proud to have good clients that, you know, let us do our thing and flex our creativity, which is just as important.
I would say right place, right time, right personality, and right talent.
Oh, it's very kind. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
It's just the way it works, you know. You build relationships. This is all, you know, that's what helped me be in business for 10 years. At the end of the day, as you said before, is the relationship you build with these people. I have clients that have been working with me for 10 years, and they now become friends, and we can work together and develop ideas together.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, in that Confessions of an Advertising was it Mr. Ogilvy? He said that in his book. He said, you know, have a handful of clients, and if you can, buy shares in them. And I really believe in that philosophy. You know, like we've got like a really good core group of clients. You know, we're also in a very lucky position now. We can kind of pick and choose who we work with. We don't have to say yes to every project. We can go to people and say, can we make this film, or can we do this campaign? And we've been able to do that because we've had that loyalty of those clients. And if I could have, most of them are private companies, you know, only a few are public, but if you can buy shares and then like do it, you know, really be embedded and really be like rowing that boat together with them, I think is so important. Yeah, 100%. It's those relationships, you know, it's the relationships with your team, it's the relationships with the client. That's what brings to success.
Right, enough work for today. I feel tired already. So let's talk about fun stuff. So talk to me about this Grapple Collective. You're a co-founder in the gym, aren't you?
No. I've worked a lot with Max in the gym, and you know, we were going to open up a space before, and the timing just wasn't quite right. I mean, I support in various ways, but definitely not a co-founder. That's all credit to Max, and what he's built there is incredible. It's the first exclusive ecological grappling. This is a very contentious political thing at the minute, is to talk about the ecological approach. There's some really good online beef at the minute. So I feel it's quite fun to talk about. But it's the first like exclusively ecological approach martial arts gym in the UK.
What does it mean? What does it mean is ecological approach?
I will badly define this. I will fumble this, and someone will correct me, but I'll express how it occurs to me, and perhaps that's close enough to the mark to be like a good representation of what the methodology is. A lot of martial arts and jiu-jitsu and fighting is taught by, you know, showing people a series of moves, drills, escapes, techniques that someone can then learn and put together and create their own style. The ecological approach uses movement between two bodies as a more intuitive style of coming to your own understanding of what those things are. So an armbar is only an armbar because we all agree it's that. But if you were coached to control someone's center mass to a point where they're restricted, they're pinned to the floor, and then attack their outer mass, i.e. one of their limbs, you would come to your own understanding of, oh, I can break this guy's elbow by extending his hand backwards. I know it's a bit grim, sorry. But like by extending his hand backwards, and then you've come to your own conclusion. It's a much more intuitive style of learning as opposed to a more academic like framework where you're just teaching people very specific things.
Well, I'm glad I asked, because I was thinking about the environment. Sorry, there's my ignorance in the world of fighting and martial arts. I looked at the Grapple Collective. It's all quite not family. It's all very female friendly, isn't it?
Super important. I'm really, really proud to be part of a gym, and that's Max and Fee. Like they've done that, and Max is such a strong advocate for women in fighting and women in grappling. Unfortunately, there's a lot of predatory behavior in jiu-jitsu and at fighting gyms, and there's a lot of like insecure men with big egos and a little bit of status within their own little world who like weaponize that.
I call that the small dick syndrome.
Small dick syndrome. There's so much small dick syndrome in jiu-jitsu. It's crazy. And there's some, I'm kind of like dubious to talk about that because I love promoting the sport in the most positive way possible. But if I'm completely
honest,
but then
you're promoting Grapple Collective because it stands out from the rest, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think we have something like the best male to female ratio, definitely at the London gyms, and created a really safe space where women can come, because it's fighting. It's like for a lot of people, when you're in it, you can kind of forget that for people who come, it's really scary and quite intimidating, and you really have to consciously facilitate a safe space for people for it to be an approachable thing. And Max has just done such like an extraordinarily good job of that. I couldn't have done that as good a job of him if I tried, if that was the mission. You know, he's instinctually so progressive and positive with that stuff, that he's just created such a safe space. where
I
loads of
was
women
out for
come.
lunch with one of my friends a few days ago, and she said that she's taken up boxing.
Oh, sick.
The reason behind it is that she was having a chat with a colleague, a male colleague, and he said something like, women don't fight enough. Men is acceptable for a man to be aggressive or to fight, and this is how you get rid of your extra adrenaline or stress, stuff like that. While women, they need to go to yoga. They're not really, it's not really that common to actually go fighting. So she said, because she's a very smart and very determined young lady, said, okay, I'm going to go boxing. And she said, it's just changed her life. She does yoga and boxing. So she can get the best of the two worlds.
Yeah, good for her.
And she said, it's just mind-blowing how better she feels after a session.
Oh my God, it's amazing. It's like, I know girls who are, women, do you know what I mean, who they can beat up all of my mates, do you know what I mean, that are like 10, 15, 20 kilos lighter than them. Is like, fighting isn't about being a man or being big and tough. It's like a skills-based meritocracy where you learn things and you practice things well enough, you get good at them, that you can beat other people in fights. And the whole male, female, I don't know, the thought that anyone's like nuanced behavioral, emotional differences or genitalia can dictate whether they're good at a martial art such as grappling is just so bonkers and pretty
but
old.
in any side of life, I've done a lot of work and a lot of conversations about female, what does it mean to be a female in the building industry, and you hear some stories that are quite sad of the ways girls struggle. But then, so it's really every environment that is perceived or actually is manly dominated has got struggles for girls to get in.
Well, that's the thing. I think that manly dominated is a problem because these girls aren't struggling in the industry because they're girls or because they have some inherent incapability due to their gender. They're struggling because of the way they would be treated by men. And I think it's very much like the women in the industry is more of a man's problem than it is a women's problem, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, more behavioral change
sense,
needs
but
to
then
come.
We are getting the shit out of it.
I know, but what I'm trying to say is like the behavioral change needs to come more from men. Do you know what I mean? Women don't need to change or do anything different. It's complicated.
Right. So after talking to my friend, and because I knew I was going to talk to you, I've done a bit of research in this fighting women, and I found this very interesting article. I think it's an American journalist / fighter, but she talks about, obviously, gyms have always been traditionally a space for men rather than women.
What's her name?
Liane Pedante.
Okay.
From Womanly.
Okay, nice.
So she then, interestingly, she talks about, you're supposed to go to yoga to de-stress and blah, blah, blah. It never really worked for me, she says. And then she starts talking about how, because of it's not like going to the gym that you're there a bit to show off and maybe to hook up. When you go fight in a fighting gym, it's about, it becomes more of a second home. There is like a very strong community, especially with Grapple Collective. I've seen on the website is about inclusivity, is about giving an opportunity for, as you said, everybody to feel safe. So she then goes on to talk about building friendships and becomes of a therapy, because then you get rid of all the negative emotions that you build during the day. So it's not that I'm not going to replace tennis with martial art anytime soon, but I thought it was very fascinating, this idea that it's a completely different environment. And because last year we've done a lot of work on mental health, well-being, inclusivity, neurodiversity. This is why I'm bringing up all this in this chat. I know it seems a bit bizarre that I'm talking about sports in a podcast about design and architecture, but it's actually very important that we create environments where anybody and everybody is not only is welcome but feels safe.
Yeah, feels safe to express themselves. I mean, that's a big differentiator in jiu-jitsu and martial arts due to other sports, is that combative element that you're really pushing yourself and the people around you in like states of pretty like extreme duress. Like the person's basically trying to like put you to sleep or break your legs or break your arms and kill you. So it really has to be like a safe, trusting relationship you know, to enter into that with someone else. Because if someone's too excited or too aggressive, you could really, really get hurt. Do you know what I mean? And it's really important that, you know, that you do have like that inherent sense of trust. And once you do, it's the most special thing. Like you can get into a flow state within like a matter of seconds when you're rolling with someone else, you know, where you're not, it's beautiful. It's like, I always hear about, I love John Vervaeke talks about it in Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. He talks about this, I think it was an Aristotelian notion that the more time spent in conscious unconsciousness, or better, or like basically like a flow state, right, is like a happier life. And I was always kind of jealous of pianists and, you know, painters and these people who could get into a flow state. And oh my gosh, like this is why you're so happy when you're grappling, because you're in a flow state. You're not thinking, you're not consciously being directive to your body to take certain actions. You're kind of in this seat of awareness, kind of observing this thing unfold. I think it's really beautiful. And I think that's a big part of building community, is people spending time in the flow state together and expressing themselves, you know, like that same part of your neocortex that moves through theoretical space is the same part that moves through physical space. And I think your ability to move and express your body, even in a combative style, it is an art form. It's a martial art, and you're bringing your different style, your different flair, and the space where people are doing that together on a mat. It really is like all these people coming together to create and like express themselves in a way. And I think that's a big part of it too. And I think that helps you in your wider life too. You know, being able to move your body in different ways, 100% helps you think in different ways. You know, it helps stretch your kind of your cognitive capacity in your way to like reach and think and solve problems and think a few steps ahead. But yeah, oh my God, there's so much to it. You should try it. You should come down.
I'm too worried I'm going to bring my
nose.
You're
not. I am not.
For me, it's I suppose what you just described is what helps create brain space as well. I've just come out, I'm just seeing the light after 2 very bad years where my brain wasn't working properly, and I had to fight with my husband, but eventually I managed to get a dog. And that hour walking the dog outside in the country, I'm very lucky. I live in the countryside of Scotland. It's just beautiful around here. I need to leave the house. I'm not even in a village. I'm in the middle of no freaking where. Just get out with the dog. And that hour walking the dog is finally, I got brain space. It gets oxygenated. The more ideas come out. I come home and all of a sudden I got a to-do list that is about 10 points long, because my brain finally had the space away from the computer, no phones, just me, the dog, and open air. Is been life-saving.
Yeah, 100%. What dog have you got?
A golden retriever.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now I've got a spaniel. I take the dog for a walk, and we do like an hour in the morning, hour in the evening. And when the digital seduction isn't on me, I leave my phone in the flat or leave my phone at the studio. And I take the dog for a walk for about an hour. And when you do that, it's like the rule, not the exception, that ideas present themselves to you and you solve problems that you otherwise couldn't have had you been, do you know what I mean, in the office, distracting your brain, you know. It's like when you take a break or you take a holiday, it's like without fail, like bits of insight or bits of wisdom occur to you that have been waiting to present themselves. They've been waiting for you to rest and take your foot off the gas before they can go, here's the solution to that thing, or here's a little insight into that relationship you had with that person that you couldn't have thought of. But yeah, walking the dog is such a regular and hacky way of getting that. Do you know what I mean? Some people, it's like going for a run. But I think walking the dog is just the same. You just think of solutions.
No, it's just being, you can walk on your own if you don't have a dog, but it's been...
The dog's not an essential part of that. Yeah.
I agree, but if you're not a dog person, then you can just go for a walk. I had, so at the Edinburgh event last October, we had a presentation by Peter Kerr, who is a big name in Scotland. He came and delivered about the benefits of light. And, you know, he's done a lot of work with dementia. One of my friends, well, actually the same friend that goes boxing now, she's a professor at Stirling University, and she specializes in architecture for dementia. So Leslie and Peter work together quite on a regular basis. And Peter was talking about how beneficial it is, especially during the winter, to just be outside at lunchtime. So maximum exposure to daylight, to your well-being and mental health. And I was talking to a friend last night. She said, "Oh, I can't be bothered with this dark, Scotland as it is in the winter, you never get light, right?" But because I'm being out every day, actually, maybe because I'm pumped up about this new salotto that I'm opening and I'm all excited, but I'm not worried about there's another 2 months of winter ahead of me for the first time in 12 years in Scotland. So that's, I'm testament of go out with a dog.
Grey up there, isn't it? Rick Rubin says in that his book, The Act of Creativity, he really struggles with it as well. As funny as I'm saying this, the sun, you can see it's just come beaming through the window onto the face. But he says that he really struggles with that. He finds creatively really blocked when he can't see the sun. But he said that even when there's clouds, just knowing that the sun is behind it is enough to do something. Do you know what I mean? To get thoughts over the line. But yeah, I mean that's a problem living in Scotland, I can imagine.
But then when the sun is shining, it's really beautiful. Anyway, so you have, as you say in one of your videos at the Grapple Collective, ADHD brain. Is that does working in a creative environment help, or is just as bad as being an accountant?
I don't know what it's like to be an accountant, but
you never tried, so that's a bit of a silly question. So
yeah. I am. There's a question: does ADHD help with creativity? Is that
sort of? Yeah. No, because Ian Hamilton, our other common friend, always says, that's my ADHD brain kicking in, and he sends me an email with about 10 ideas. It's just things you can do.
Yeah. I think, and I want to give like a really honest answer, because like my intuitive response is to go, yes, because I have ADHD and I feel creative a lot of the time, but that could also be the case if I didn't have ADHD. Maybe I would actually spend more time on protracted projects and do more deep focused work where more creativity to come out of that. So there's like, the honest answer is perhaps, but the way it occurs to me, having only had a brain, and but just for reference, I think like I do have it. I got an ADHD diagnosis, but I don't think it's that deep. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not that different to most other people. You just have to learn to manage it a bit better. So I definitely don't over-identify as an ADHD person. I don't really talk about it too much, but I definitely find that I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas. Like things do come thick and fast, and I've got like my notes app is do you know what I mean? Just like constantly being added to and constantly being finding screenshots and ads and little pieces of things ripped out of newspapers and pictures of paintings, and everything's kind of sort of mashed together. So yeah, I think there's definitely like there's definitely a part of that which serves working in a creative industry, but there's also like, I'm sure if you asked the team, if you went next door and asked the guys now, they'd be like, no, he's really fucking annoying, because he always I mean he's always talking.
You're the boss, you have to be annoying.
Be annoying, yeah, maybe not this annoying, but yeah. And I'm always like talking about something else or having an idea and going that way. So I think there's definitely hyper creativity there, but a creative act isn't a thought. In my opinion, a creative act is the pragmatic implementation of that thought to become an output. So I think having an ADHD brain catalyzes and enhances the creative process, but having an expert team that can like capture those things and then bring them to life is actually the full creative process. So I think it's helpful and it's an important component. But if I was just by myself, I don't think too much would get done. We do. Yeah, exactly.
Listen, I can see the sunshine is shining on you now. You even take your jacket off, so it must be much warmer in the office now.
Yeah, it's nice. It's getting there. The radiators are pumping.
Fantastic. Vitamin D. That's all we need.
That's it.
Tiernan, thank you very much. So if you want to hear about from Tiernan and get to meet him in Glasgow, is coming up to see us at Il Salotto on the 24th of April. Evening, a chat, what do we call it? In conversation with Tiernan Dixon. So more information will be released on our website soon. So stay tuned and we'll let you know as soon as we have a fixed plan. Thank you again for being here with us today, Tiernan.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. That was really, really nice.
Thank you very much for listening to Il Salotto Sessions. If you enjoyed the chat, please make sure you share with your friends and follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast. For more information on our events, please visit ilsalotto.design and designpopup.com. You can also find us on Instagram _designpopup and Il Salotto Glasgow as well as LinkedIn. Should you have any feedback, questions or suggestions, please do get in touch at hello@ilsalotto.design. We would love to hear from you. Thank you.